Welcome to Mr. Goetz's Flipped Classroom. What we're taking a look at here is a project called Drawing on Video. And the first step of this is going to get into Google Classroom. So in Google Classroom, you'll see an assignment that has a heading similar to this. And there's going to be something that says, download this clip of video to your computer and draw over it. So what happens when you click on this is this one is like a 50 megabyte file. And says no preview available, so I can go to download, and then what you'll see, it's going to pop up kind of in the bottom corner here, and it pops up just like this. And when you download a video, the knee-jerk reaction is to open it. When you download something, you want to open it. And what I have students kind of running into here is QuickTime Player can't open. This is what it says kind of right here, and just say okay. And then what you're actually going to do with this is go to find your downloads, and you may know a quicker way of doing this. So I am showing you a way of doing this. So a way is to go to downloads, see this clip for animation, and I like to stay organized, so I'm going to drag that over there. So what we had was a clip that we copied over to the desktop, which we have hanging out right here. Very cool. And I'm going to show you an example of what we're making. So this is an example of so there's a couple things happening there. So that's just one example. And then this is with a different clip of video, but I'm going to play this one as well. So what you're going to be watching here, let's see. Okay, so what that was is we see the ball is yellow. So I'm going to show you how to do this. And what this is, video is typically 30 frames per second, but we don't want to have to draw this ball in on 30 frames per second because this clip right here is 6 seconds. If we do 6 seconds at 30 frames per second, that's going to be 180 still images, but what we want to work with something more manageable. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to do 10 frames per second, and that's what this video is. It's 10 frames per second. So not too, the movement's a little bit choppy, but here's how we do it. The first thing is to go up here because we don't see Adobe Premiere down here. So we go up to the magnifying glass up here, and we say Premiere, P-R-E-M-I-E-R-E, and then comes up right here. A common misconception with Premiere is that once you open it, the misconception is that something happens. So there is nothing that it says once it's open. So what happens now is you click to open it, then you start doing something else. Talking to somebody that's around you or something like that, but it comes up like this and then you're ready to go. Sometimes this window doesn't come up and you've actually got to go to File, New Project. So this one is going to let us set up a new project here. So I'm going to call this B-ball test, because this is a basketball project. I don't have a folder made yet, so I'm going to click off this, go to File, New Folder, and this is going to be B-ball test. Click off it. I'm going to put my clip of video in that folder, and then I might as well take these guys here and throw them in here too, because those were the examples that I had. But I'm going to browse for a location to save my Premiere project to. I'm going to say Desktop, B-ball test. I'm going to say choose, and then I am going to say OK. So what's going to happen is it's going to open up Adobe Premiere, which is nice. I'm going to do a File, Import, and then we're going to browse to the desktop, and then we're going to go to B-ball test, and then we have this clip right here. That's about 43 megabytes in size. I'm going to say Import, and it's going to pop up in my bin right here. I'm going to drag from the bin over to the sequence, and it should play. All right, so it should play like that, and what I'm going to do is I'm hitting Command plus. Something I like to do with my keyboard shortcuts is I change my keyboard shortcuts to Final Cut 7, which makes it quicker for me because I used Final Cut for so long. And what I can do is Command plus, Command minus. You may have another keyboard shortcut you like to use for this, but at the beginning I'm going to hit I for in point. I'm going to hit End on the keyboard to go to the end, E-N-D, and I'm going to hit O for out. I'm going to do a File, I'm going to do a Export Media, and then we're going to do a JPEG. So JPEG is going to be a still image. So right here is going to be JPEG. And then it's all right on the presets. And then here's the trick on this one. This is 30 frames per second. So again, we have 6 seconds of video. If we export 30 frames per second, that's going to be 180 still images we're drawing over. I'd rather draw over 60 images. So I'm going to set that to 10. I'm going to change the folder where it's saving to. So we're going to go back to desktop, b-ball test, save, and do export. So it's going to export 60 still images. And then once that is done, we're going to close out of Premiere. I'll just go ahead and do a save. Why not? I might come back to this. Who knows? Do a quit Premiere. And now what we should see in this folder right here is a whole bunch of still images. So we have all these still images right here. So number 60 is at the bottom, if we can see 60 right here. And then scroll back up to the top. And here's image 0, which was the first image. So again, I'm going to open up from the magnifying glass. We're going to open up Photoshop. P-H-O-T-O-S-A-O-P. Just like that. And then we see Photoshop opening down here. I don't like to have Premiere and Photoshop running at the same time because they're kind of a RAM hog, so a random access memory hog, where these computers have 16 gigs of RAM, which is good, but the programs run better if you don't have them both running at the same time. So what we're going to do is bring all of our still images into Photoshop. And the way we do that is click on the first one, click in here, taking this guy right here at the bottom. Oh, let me do a control click, open with Photoshop. And then we see the ball moving here, so you always got to wait for it. It's okay. This has to do with the fact that it's video, and the video has different pixel ratios. One of them square, one of them is rectangular, but that's fine. So it should open all these up for us here, which is good. So they're all filling up here. You see those numbers going? So it's just filling up across the top here. I'm going to click here, and then I can see all these different images. If we want to start at the end, we can start with the last one. That's the last one here. If you want to start at the beginning, go up to here. That's going to be the beginning. Get a tool that you want to draw with to make your, to like see what kind of drawing you want to do. Always have to change this guy to something good. Use white text. So say, hey, we're going to have this right here is going to look like that. And then you're going to close it. You're going to save it because we're going to save the clip, crank it all the way to the top for good quality, and say OK. And then the one that it left here is the one behind it. So I'm going to do the same thing. Draw on this guy. And then we see this one has the asterisk, which means it's been changed. I'm going to close it. And I'm going to say yes, save. Crank it all the way to the top and say OK. Then I'm going to click on this one here. I'm going to do it again. Yep. And then I'm going to close it right here and save it. Crank it all the way up. So what we should see, I'm going to say OK. I'm not going to do all these because it takes a little bit of time doing this. So when you come back over here and we start looking at the bottom here, what does this image look like? Oh my goodness. What does this image look like? Oh my goodness. What does this image look like? So this one I did not do yet. So basically you get all your images processed and they're sitting here in the folder. And I'm going to close out of Photoshop. I'm going to do a quit. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the Premiere import. So to pull this back into Premiere, P-R-E-M-I-E-R-E, so you can open up Premiere this way, or you can go back over here to the test file that we had. And we'll see Premiere open up. We have the b-ball test. And this is the most important thing when you go to import these images. You've actually got to go up to Preferences right here. Let's see here, sync settings, timeline. Okay, so right here. We're going to change this. It might come up to seconds, might come up to frames, I don't know. But what I want that changed to is 3 frames. So 3 frames is what the default still image import is going to be. So I'm going to say File, go to Import, and then these will all have been processed. Let me go to Desktop here. Because again, I'm not drawing on every single one of these, and you're going to end up taking, click on name. You can sort how you're looking through these. So from 0 all the way down here to this guy here, do a shift click and say import. All of them are going to show up in the bin. I'm going to drag from the bin over into the timeline here. So all of them are still selected. Going to come over here. And what's going to happen is right at the end, we're going to see. So you've been watching Mr. Goetz's Flipped Classroom.